All right, so we got a brief guide on Satanism by Darby Valentine. Now, if you are new to the channel, Darby Valentine was a kind of a true crime YouTuber that we watched. Her channel got deleted for apparent nudity, so she made a new one. She's a tattoo artist. She's a goth, and as a theistic Satanist, I thought it was really interesting that she started talking about Satanism. Now, mind you, I'm pretty sure what she's going to be talking about is LaVeyan Satanism, which is the atheistic Satanism. But I still want to kind of hear her thoughts on it. She has some really interesting points and she handles things with a lot of nuance. So let's check it out.
The following of true evil with ancient blood rituals. A belief system of yourself and your free will.
Exactly.
A political choice for the freedom of all. Well, it's actually all of these things and more. This is the complete guide to Satanism.
Let's go!
The history of Satanism, not Satan himself, so you can keep your Bibles closed from this one, and by the end of this we will have you picking your satanic sect like some sort of messed up BuzzFeed quiz. But I don't think any religion quite has as such of a negative rap or representation or reaction from individuals when you claim yourself to be a Satanist. Imagery of naked women, daggers, goats, goblets of blood. Which is actually partially true, as we'll get into later in the video, but I don't think no one has had such bad press or PR like Satanism.
It really has, especially with the Satanic Panic in the 80s. And, like, the Bible Belt and also the South, they're pretty much always going to have that panic.
From the Satanic Panic of the 80s to real-life serial killers like Richard Ramirez claiming affiliation, Satanism truly is the black goat of religious choices.
Let's not forget, true Norwegian black metal also gave Satanism a lot of bad rep, just solely from fucking Vargvikerness alone. Like, sure, Euronymous was a murderer. Sure, who was it? Hellhammer, I think it was? No, Faust was also a really big one, but it was mainly Varg.
Accusations of people participating in devil worship have been as prevalent as God worship within Christian history. From the medieval ages of the Inquisitions accusing the likes of the Knights Templar, which is actually how we ever got the first term for Baphomet or Baphomet, to the witch trials across the entirety of Europe, and the most famous in Salem, Massachusetts. Self-identified Satanism is a fairly modern phenomenon, but the left-hand path of occultism, which is the greatest influence on Satanism as a whole, absolutely is not. The perverse opposition to Catholicism founded by the late great Anton LaVey was officially founded as the Church of Satan on April 30th of 1966. After years of having occult group meetings of just purely discussions, Anton would create the group and eventually make the Satanic Book of Rituals and Satanic Bible, which were all heavily influenced by the greatly renowned occultist Aleister Crowley. Satan had started to get painted in a new light from the 1600s to the 1800s. Of note, during the time of Enlightenment, they started questioning the Christian narrative pushed onto the entity that was Satan. And a lot
we need critical thinkers. Like, even if you're not a Satanist, let's say you're a Christian, let's say you're a pagan, you're whatever, you're an atheist. Critical thinking is one of the most important, like, practices to enable and prevent, like, culty behavior and religious dogma from being forced on you.
Along with this, there were great works of literature that referred to romantic Satanism, which is an immaculate term, where people started using him in this light of being not such a bad guy. And literature really reinforced this, with works like Psalms to Satan and most of Nereide, Paradise Lost, which in this it is a series of narrative poems that start.
Paradise Lost is a good fucking book. Y'all should read that.
To paint Satan in more of a heroic light, someone who was only going against evil, and in this case that God himself was evil, greedy, overtly powerful, and that Satan was one to question him, and rightfully so. Once again, of note with Aleister Crowley, his 1913 sonnet, A Hymn to Lucifer, commended the devil as the supplier of soul and insubordination to the universe. Aleister Crowley's thoughts were totally painted over the creation of Satanism. If you take an Aleister Crowley thought book and put it with the Satanic Bible, you will see such direct correlations. It is honestly insane at some points.
Yeah.
But just like this whole thought process not being something new, the term Satanist and Satanism wasn't one either. It came all the way into the modern lexicon in 1517 when Catholic and Protestants accused each other of being Satanists. They were claiming that the other were following in the same steps as Satan, not necessarily devil worship as it seems. It was more that you're not picking the same religion I pick, which I believe to be the correct religion, so that means you're not following the right religion, so you're following the steps of Satan.
Which is exactly what Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses do now.
Satan, and referred to each other as Satanists. And it would continue to make its appearance over history and time before Anton's creation of contemporary Satanism. My favorite instance of this is that one of King Louis's favorite mistresses was accused of being a Satanist, and that she performed demonic rituals on the king in bed to make him want to be with her. And, you know, don't we all, ladies? And of course, having someone being labeled as the first or the head of something, there would be so much chaos ensuing on who truly was the first foundation of Satanism. I will make a note that I think it is important to state that Danish occultist Carl William Hansen listed his religion as Luciferian on the Danish census in the late 1800s, establishing him as one of the first ever documented proclaimed Satanists, which we will get into Luciferianism at the very end, which is my personal choice, but we gotta
respect
give a shout out to Carl for really being out there on the forefront. And everyone riding this new wave and hysteria surrounding the concept of being Satanists and being in a satanic cult, a bunch of splinter groups would form, which is the basis of our discussion today. And almost all of these groups can be based into two subsections: Theistic Satanists and Atheistic Satanists.
Yeah!
Theistic Satanists believe that Lucifer is a real entity, or Lucifer or Satan. Some people will distinct them as two separate beings or one being that is a whole separate thing. But Theistic Satanists practice in occult magic with a K, if you're in the know about that. Of
nice.
They will do rituals and treat him like a real entity and or figurehead, at times to be worshipped or not worshipped, but they believe Satan is real. Whereas atheistic Satanism is atheism. There is no God. Satan is not real because there can't be Satan without God. So Lucifer's not a real individual. He's simply iconography and a figurehead for the movement, which is exactly how the Church of Satan claims to be. Followers of the Church of Satan.
They call the Church of Satan calls theistic Satanist Christians. And it's really funny.
Being atheistic, believe that all gods are fictitious and the ultimate importance is found in the self and pursuing self-interest. And with that, I will read to you from my personal Satanic Bible, the 9 Tenets. Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Satan represents vital existence instead of spirited pipe dreams. Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit. Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates. Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. Satan represents responsibility on the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires. Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours, because of his divine, spiritual, and intellectual development, has become the most vicious animal of all. Satan represents all of the so-called sins, as they all lead to physical, mental, or emotional gratification. Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, as he's kept them in business all these years. Now, being in the Church of Satan and participating really requires an act of being into the theatrics, in my humble opinion, because their ritual practice are very overtly over the top. Their black masses are essentially what is characterized into movies. Like, there are cloaks and daggers and cups and naked women. Of course, there's not human sacrifice because that does go against the tenets of the Satanic Bible and the Church of Satan. But it is very theatrical in its nature. If you cannot get into kind of the drama of it, you will absolutely not be able to participate in the Church of Satan at all, in my absolutely humble opinion.
Respectfully, she has a point.
Once again, this is not done in the name of Satan being a real individual. He's simply the face and the concept of personal autonomy and determination, secular philosophy, and of course Christian ridicule. Coming from the current standing figurehead of the Church of Satan, Peter Gilmore, on the entire aspect of their theatrics, he states, "You can have secular symbolism, ritual, and pageantry, and it's very effective, and something that's part of the nature of the human animal. The ritual chamber can be a place where you can dramatically perform what I call self-transformational psychodrama. We release the emotions that we find would be injuring us in the regular pursuit of our happiness so that we can let them go. Creating a catalyst in the beginning of the ideology of being your own God widespread, there is absolutely no denying, without Anton LaVey and the creation of the Church of Satan and the Satanic Bible, we would not have the sheer mass or numbers or even options of Satanism as a religion as an entire whole, as much as so many splinter groups like to deny. Without Anton LaVey, Satanism...
Anton LaVey did fucking catapult it into what it is now. I will give him that credit. And so did Aleister Crowley.
Would not have its mass spread reach. Would it exist? Most likely, but I don't think it would ever be to the capacity it is now or has ever been able to be. And of course, there is discourse on if the Church of Satan was the first organized group of Satanists, and that would be Herbert Sloan, a part-time barber, taking up the case that he himself founded the first group of true Satanists. The Our Lady of Endor Coven of the Ophet Celtis Sathanas. There's a reason if you were first, people were not joining, bro. Oh my god. He claimed in 1969 that the group started in 1948, and they did focus more on a theistic aspect of Satan. They believe Satan to be real, and they focus on the metaphysical, occult, magic aspects of working with Satan as an individual and not just as an iconography for yourself. It is funny to note that Herbert, to try to boost his numbers, attempted to incorporate naked women into their enrollment, because that is honestly a very effective tool that the Satanic Church used. The church, to help enrollment numbers, had Topless Witches Review Club Show, which did at one point include Susan Atkins, who went it off to join the Manson family cult.
No! Damn.
That, the Manson family cult has nothing to do with the Church of Satan. It is just a very insane correlation to have about what this woman was doing in California at this time. Regardless on who was first, Satanism spread like wildfire. And by the 1970s, it had become such a prolific phenomenon that Time magazine did an entire issue on it called The Occult Revival. The whole thing about this revival aspect is the fact that occultism was not new to America or being something popular within the masses. Back, as I said before in my Ouija video, which it doesn't exist right now, but it will again.
It's okay, Darby, I saved you a reaction.
In my Ouija history video, I mentioned the fact that people in the 20s to the 40s used to regularly hold seances at home. They had Ouija boards. They had psychics. It was actually a flex in Hollywood at a point to have a personal psychic that you had on call, like you had a PA. Occultism has its roots ingrained into American history as much as it likes to pretend it doesn't. This whole revival aspect of occultism wasn't new, but Satan was fresh and new and scary to the public.
Yeah, everybody was scared. Because, I mean, let's think about it. The United States has been founded on Christianity. It was founded on Christianity. So the idea of the Christian adversary, the adversary of the religions of our forefathers being, popularized as it was fucking nightmare fuel for people.
And speaking about objectively scary, across the pond at this time in the 70s, a satanic sect would form called the Order of the Nine Angles, who...
Yeah, we don't talk about them.
God, it's so stupid. They're so dumb. I hate it. It makes no sense.
I have the same feeling with them as I do Joy of Satan. Just no.
Practice occult magic based around Satanism, including their own neo-Yahtzee ideology, genuinely, and they encourage their members to self-isolate, commit crimes, and practice extremism, radicalism, and violence on others. Objectively, in my termage of what Satanism and sects can fall into, they are absolutely not Satanists, but they themselves refer to themselves as traditional Satanists, which I don't know how that works, and you are going to be alarmed at how much neo-Yahtzeeism takes place within satanic sects and the theistic satanic sects. And I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why all of this occurs, especially with neo-Yazis and occultism, is truly because people do not know how to read occult text properly. Almost all of this thought process of Arianism that relates to occultism, and especially left-hand path occultism, is due to mistranslations of Madame Blavatsky, and more in particular, the secret doctrine of Madame Blavatsky. People have spent ages trying to decipher the entirety of this text and really know what everything means, and no one has ever been successful or close to successful, as much as they will try to tell you. But individuals that have enough ego to form these, Satan sects that follow neo-Yahtzee and Aryan ideology are individuals that believe they actually understand Blavatsky. And if they follow that ideology, that tells me they cannot understand a single page of this doctrine to any degree at all.
Thank you! Thank you! Finally, someone fucking said it. Someone fucking said it. Thank you.
The amount of everything that takes place in secret societies and Satanism and everything will always go back to left-hand path occultism and all of the predecessors of those. There is nothing about any of these secret whatever the hells you find that you cannot trace back to Crowley or Blavatsky or someone of a similar range. But lightly back to the Church of Satan and Anton, they would eventually cut off their member numbers when it reached 10,000. And if you think about having that many people around, that's a lot of clashing personalities. There's already so high-ranking titles, and there's just too many people around. This would lead to so many splinter groups, including one highly, highly important splinter group referred to as the Temple of Set. The Temple of Set was founded in 1975 by Michael Aquino, who I would need a 6-hour podcast to just scratch the surface of the Temple of Set and everything involving that and why that exists, because I'm gonna be so oh god, I'm really trying to not make this a crazy video about the left-hand path. That is a different video for a different time. But Michael Aquino, I know you're scared to grab the book, right? I know, because I'm about to go on a tangent and I'm really trying not to. Michael Aquino essentially ripped off Philema. This is Aleister Crowley's book.
Damn. The Book of Magic. Oh, his religion is Thelema. Okay.
Essentially ripped off Thelema, which is Aleister Crowley's book and thought process, and more in particularly the Book of the Law, which he claims that Crowley didn't really understand what was being shown to him and that Aquino really understood it. And it's worth noting, Aquino was a military specialist in psychological warfare, and that is not a joke at all. That is what this man did for work. But he founded the Temple of Set, which was a theistic Satanism. To put it simply, they focused once again on the true magic aspect and even invoking Satan as a real entity who actually goes by the name Set, in reference to the Egyptian occultism, which...
What? I mean, I knew about the Temple of Set, but I thought they worshipped Set, the god. Not Set, the god is Satan.
Once again, Aleister Crowley. But it's not that you are to worship Set as a god, but you are supposed to devote yourself to Set. And he made the structure of the Temple of Set so violently similar to Golden Dawn, which that book is too heavy. I'm not grabbing it. I can't pick it up with one hand.
If I remember correctly, my mentor, I'm not gonna go into that. My mentor told me a lot about the Golden Dawn. Let's just keep it at that.
But that also is something Aleister Crowley was in. But he put it so intense for this that no one got past level 2. I believe he had 5 or 6 levels. No one was able to commit to past level 2 because of the dedication that was expected, because he based it off of the Golden Dawn, which is an old secret society of left-hand path occultism that those guys were rich and had nothing else to do but to devote themselves to this. So the Temple of Set had numbers, but the success wasn't as great. And it's worth noting that Anton LaVey's daughter, Xena, actually ended up joining the Temple of Set and was there as a high priestess for, I believe, 6 weeks and then left. During this time for Satanism as a whole in the country, though, in 1978, the military would recognize Satanism as a real religion in their ranks and even include it inside the religious requirements and practices manual, including that the member in the religion may need candles, a bell, a chalice, elixir, a sword, a gong, parchment, and a model phallus to practice their religion, because the Church of Satan, as it was taken mainly from Crowley once again, who really focused on in and out, then and out between two and
damn it.
Individuals, really big part of Satanism and Thelema. And Michael Aquino would find himself dead center inside of the hysteria of the Satanic Panic. The Satanic Panic is truly a core pillar to the misinformation and identity of modern Satanism. In the 1980s, Christian fundamentalists were spreading the concept that satanic cults were rampant and abusing children in rituals, doing human sacrifice and committing widespread hate and murder in the mass public. They started such crazy fake, they've all been proven fake, these fake concepts and like mythos that like children were at this one preschool in particular, I'm gonna put the name of what it was, but that these children were being like shipped off in jets to be abused in rituals and brought back in time to get picked up to school, and there's these secret tunnels underground, and this is all accusing, and there's satanic cults everywhere abusing children, and it could be your neighbor, it's everybody. And for some reason everybody went around believing this was true. It was a modern day witch hunt to the highest degree.
Huh?
You still making yourself mad about this child story?
Nope.
Well, just ego stroking, huh?
Not ego stroking. Supporting another creator.
Brief guide to shade.
I'm just supporting another creator, and it was about a topic that I know very well.
How accurate are they?
Very, actually. Considering they are one. Okay.
What you mean, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Almost all this stems from the very now debunked practice of recovered memory therapy, and one book in particular of someone falsely using this. Recovered memory therapy is the concept that you actually have all this trauma that you don't remember and you can't bring it forward. So essentially, this so-called therapist plants to you, because that's what it is. This isn't a real practice. They plant to you these ideas or memories.
It's psychological fucking warfare.
What's psychological warfare?
The Satanic Panic, essentially.
You can't just be going around sacrificing baby kids and such.
Nobody was doing that. That's not a real practice.
Memories of trauma that happened to you, and it just sparked this thing for everybody. And there were 12,000 cases surrounding around the concept of satanic ritual abuse, and not a single one was ever held up a single time. From daytime TV shows, book deals, and the federal courtroom, the fear of Satan and those that practice it was alive and thriving up until the late 90s.
What? Yeah.
And during the entire uproar, shockingly, Anton would lay low out of the direct line, unlike he had typically done before. What did assist this entire thing was Richard Ramirez running around California at the time, killing people and painting pentagrams in blood and rampantly claiming himself to be a Satanist and a member.
Oh god, not Richard Ramirez. We've done a whole thing on Richard Ramirez. Well, I've seen a whole thing on Richard Ramirez. Bro is not a Satanist. I don't... Even if he were still running free, slaughtering people, he's not a Satanist.
Member of Satan, which him practicing all this goes once again against the tenets of Satanism as a whole and the Church of Satan, but there was nothing fueling a fire that there were Satanists running around killing people than a guy running around killing people saying he's a Satanist. And it is of note that Michael Aquino found himself accused of satanic ritual abuse on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Of course, this was later dropped and stuff, but I'll be so honest, Michael Aquino, if someone did anything, Michael Aquino did something. I do not care for Michael Aquino, and that is, again, wait for the 8-hour Michael Aquino special of the Temple of Set podcast. That we'll see if that happens. Now,
this will not happen.
Satanism didn't really just get an apology or anything like that. What I truly think was kind of a pivotal turning point for the general public was the case of the West Memphis Three. The West Memphis Three was a case about these 3 teenagers accused of abusing and killing a boy, and a lot of celebrities and high up
3
people
boys
really were advocating that these boys did not do this, and believed in their innocence, which now we know they were innocent, but they were convicted as guilty. But this was such a divisive trial for the country. I think this really started having people kind of question this whole labeling people as Satanists. And if they're a Satanism and they follow Satan, then they absolutely would murder a boy and things like that, because they, again, accuse the boys of doing this in some weird satanic ritual thing, which is just asinine completely. And of course,
Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
this didn't stop our satanic splinter groups from forming, and they just
Okay, YouTube, stop being stupid.
kept on coming. In particular, we'll discuss in the 90s the Order of the Left-Hand Path, which
Ordo Sinistra Vivendi.
once again, similar to the Nine Angles, is a neo-Yahtzee group. But
Wow.
to make it a little more fun, I guess, they really believe in UFO conspiracy theories as well.
That's just like the joy of Satan. They believe that they oh my god. Listen. Hold on. I can't see that over the pin. Of course, I hope you're having a nice day. Is song requests on this stuff? Song requests are on. The command is in the stream title. But right now we're currently doing reactions, so you gotta give me a sec. Once we're finished with this video, absolutely. But you just gotta wait a couple more minutes. But oh my god, I could take you on a trip through the Joy of Satan forums just to laugh at how ridiculous their ideals are. Like, they are very neo-Yahtzee, but also they're such conspiracy theorists. Oh my god. It's so bad. Sounds good. I just wanted you to react to maybe some 21 Pilots or something so I can wait for sure. Oh yeah, I've listened to 21 Pilots. I don't know if they've got any new shit, but I'll be more than happy to.
And oddly enough, this was a splinter group of the Temple of Set, which, once again, back to Michael Aquino, he later got accused of neo-Yahtzee activities, which, when you look into it, it's kind of undeniable, but other than
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know much about the Temple of Set.
that, the Order of the Left-Hand Path is essentially a mashup of the theistic practices of both the Temple of Set and the Order of the Nine Angles, of that Satan is a real figurehead to be worshipped in Left-Hand Path occultism, and also that Arianism is, like, the goal for some reason, because once again, no one can read Madame Blavatsky's text at all in the least. Listen, we gotta talk about one more neo-Yahtzee group, and the reason I'm talking about all these are because these are unfortunately, like, what we have to label as big players in Satanism. These are the people that have numbers that...
It's really sad because there are a lot of theistic Satanists who are very lonely and they don't support neo-Yahtzee culture. And yet, because the biggest groups are neo-Yazis, they can't find a community of their own.
It shouldn't have numbers, but they do. This is the Joy of Satan.
Yep, the Joy of Satan.
Which is, what a waste of a name, because that sounds great. It sounds like, yeah, with the Joy of Satan. No, it's a neo-Yahtzee group. It was founded in the 2000s, in part by a woman who is directly associated with a right nationalist group.
Yeah, the creator of Joy of Satan, her husband is an actual neo-Yahtzee.
Like, heavily. They believe in the ancient alien astronaut conspiracy theory, as well as meditation. Satan is like a deity to be worshipped, but they're also polytheistic, so, like, they have their own gods they worship in that way, but, like, they have an alarming amount of numbers. Like,
also, they believe that some demons go by Greek and Egyptian god names, which is wild.
Especially websites. They have one of the highest amounts of websites out of any Satan group. Still, to this day, the Joy of Satan, like, has numbers because, I don't know, they really subscribe to almost every conspiracy theory, and of course, any conspiracy theory that says, like, Jews do anything. So, that's the Joy of Satan. On a better note, I would say the Satanic Reds. They were founded in 1997 in New York City. I'm gonna be so honest with you. They're very confusing. They have a PDF of FAQs, which I've read and I will have linked down below. Their website has not been updated absolutely since 2000, which, you know, I personally love, but it does make it very hard to navigate and understand what's going on. From what I can personally gather, they are a theistic Satanism group who practice left-hand path occultism, but they like to be very separate from any other similar religions, i.e. Thelema, Chaos, Wicca, and the Church of Satan. Two of the founders were given high titles in the Church of Satan by Anton LaVey. Politics play a large part in their religion, and I would say it's very socialist. All of their ideology is socialism ideology, which I don't know enough about politics, but it seems not bad, in my opinion. Their symbol is a pentagram with a hammer and sickle. Communism? I don't know things about politics. Please don't get mad at me. All I know is about Satan. So, you know, I'm doing what I can. But the Satanic Reds seem to be a theistic socialism group. You do have to obviously participate in the political side to follow this ideology. But if you like socialism and you like Satan and you get down with a ritual or two, they seem like a very friendly group of individuals that are not neo-Yazis. So, you know, right now that's doing a lot for us. And just like how two of their members were in the Church of Satan, which of course they're like, we have no relation or anything to do with the Church of Satan. Once again, you can see every single one of these splinter groups has a direct correlation to the Church of Satan, because
exactly,
that is the foundation of Satanism. As much as everyone likes to say it isn't, the Church of Satan and Anton LaVey is the absolute foundation of all forms of Satanism. Period, point blank, except for the one at the end, which again, that's me, we'll get into it later. But anyone who has a relation is the Church of Satan, or it's the Temple of Set, which Michael Aquino was a high title in the Church of Satan from Anton LaVey, so in turn, Anton LaVey is all this, and then Aleister Crowley's why Anton LaVey exists, and it's all, I feel like Charlie, and It's Always Sunny when I talk about anything involving any of this. And now, since we brought up the political side of Satanism, I think it is important that we start talking about what I believe to be the most successful
this is not an endorsement for TST, but an acknowledgement of some positive actions of some members. I am a member of the Satanic Temple.
Positive, best splinter group to ever form in the entire organization of Satanism, and that is the Satanic Temple. Founded in 2013 in New York City by Lucien Greaves and Malcolm Jerry, they are a non-theistic religion. The temple focuses on its political work on separating the church from state, reproductive rights for all, and religious freedom. They view Satan, once again, as not a real figure or entity, but an iconography of showing rebellion and skepticism and encouraging people to be their own choice in the matter, and that your body is yours, you are your own individual, and you have your rights to yourself as an individual, and there's no reason for church to be in state, which absolutely there isn't.
Exactly. I'm not trying to get into politics of Satanism, but honestly, like, pretty much every satanic group is, like, political in some way. But TST has done the best for people by far.
They have become quite notorious for what some people, especially the Church of Satan, likes to call prank stunts, which the Church of Satan really does not like the Satanic Temple. The Satanic Temple doesn't seem to really ever say anything about the Church of Satan, because they have obviously like kind of better stuff to do, but the Church of Satan has multiple times been like, they just do PR stunts, and they like basically ripped off the entire basis of the thought process from the Church of Satan. But they gained a lot of media attention in 2015 and 2018 for placing Baphomet statues at government spaces in 2 different states that had the 10 Commandment statues outside, as once again that is having church in state. And they work tirelessly to show equality within that aspect. Any place that is going to force church into state, they love to show up and be like, that's great, freedom of religion, we're here too. And you see how quickly people change their tones when it turns once again to Satan. It is undeniably such a powerful image to people.
It's a fucking power move, man, and I respect that.
Nothing creates a reaction, especially for people that do not really believe in people having their own rights of free choice and free will, is no one reacts as negative to a pentagram or a goat head or a Baphomet or anything like that. Like, in my opinion, someone who's bigoted. I don't care about seeing anyone displaying any of their religious imageries ever.
Yeah.
But you know who do? People who think they're right and no one else is right. Church and state has never been separate as much as they like to claim it to be. And the Satanic Temple currently is one of the highest populous members of a satanic sect. And if this seems appealing to you at all, I urge you to check out the documentary Hail Satan? It is one of the best, most positive light pieces on Satanism, and especially modern contemporary Satanism, and it is focusing on the Satanic Temple and stuff they're doing, advocating, and things of that nature, so absolutely check that out. When it comes to putting me in some sort of odd box of belief system, I guess I'm comfortable in this current standing to refer to myself as a Luciferian. Luciferianism is violently complex, and there are so many splinter groups and ideologies. In my opinion, Luciferianism is arguably the oldest form of Satanism, but not in the same aspect as the Church of Satan. Luciferianism, I do not believe, is a collective thing, whereas we're talking about sects and collectivism, but they've attempted to do Luciferianism into collectives. You just want to know what it is. I don't know why I keep, explaining all this to you.
I mean, I like that you're going into detail. I'm autistic. I need the details, goddammit. I want them. I want the bits and pieces. I consume all of it like single kernels of popcorn.
To put it simply, Lucifer is seen as the light bringer, a figure of independence and progression, making choice and free will yours to work with towards goals. Individual progression is absolute. There is no guilt in your wants or gains. You should strive for a successful existence and enjoy the fruits of your labors. Feel no shame in your pleasure of flesh or indulgence of goods. There is no corruption to ever feel. A fundamental aspect is enlightenment. All knowledge is good knowledge. Ignorance is offense. Truly, the non-pursuit of progression should be sneered at. Free will is yours. Your fate is in your hands. So take it and make it what you want.
I guess in that aspect, most people would consider me a Luciferian. I still call myself a Theistic Satanist, but honestly, from Darby explaining it, I guess I would be a Theistic Luciferian.
Yeah, that's like the best way to put it is, it's your life. Go rock with it. If you choose to not progress in life, that's absolutely insane, and that's not my choice to ever make, obviously. But let's stop talking about me. Those were what, once again, I consider the big players in Satanism, because they are. These are the big players. These are people that kind of have the most notoriety, followers, numbers, information on even though a lot of these splinter groups, there's truly not a lot because of just, time and day. A lot of people don't do organized religion anymore, and technically these are all organized religions. And of course there's solo Satanism and the million other neo-Yahtzee groups, but that's regardless. We're gonna take our little quiz now, because I told you about everything, so we're gonna find out what sect of Satanism is for you. If you were a theater kid and you don't believe in magic, but you love a ritual, join the Church of Satan. If you're a horrible person, join the Nine Angles. If you don't want to commit to being a Thelemite, join the Temple of Set. If you're a different type of horrible person, join the Order of the Left-Hand Path. And if you're stupid and horrible, join the Joy of Satan. And if you're a socialist that loves a little candle and incense, join the Satanic Reds. If you're someone who believes in true freedom of all and the government not having any say on your religious choices, join the Satanic Temple. And you believe in finding absolution, become a Luciferian. And I'm going to leave this with one thing. Don't ask what you can do for Satan, but ask what Satan can do for you.
Hey.
If you watched the entirety of what is possibly an insane rant video, thank you so much for watching. And as always, thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Make sure to turn on the notification bell. Follow me on every single social media platform under Darby Valentine. And for the question...
Thank you, Darby. I appreciate you. Hopefully that helps some of y'all understand a little bit more. And that was actually probably the most in-depth video I've gotten on Satanism as a whole, even as a Satanist. Well, I guess Luciferian if you really want to call me that, but I still feel like Theistic Satanist is more my thing, but I'm a member of the Satanic Temple, so, We don't have to worry about any of that. But I could take y'all down a trip into the Joy of Satan forums and just to laugh at the stupidity. But that would probably get me banned. So I'm probably not going to do that. Anyway, that's going to be it for that one.